Hey everybody, welcome back to the Driveway Engineer, MGR. Today I'm working on Roscoe, my cheap Jeep XJ98 that I bought for my niece Melanie. Today's about disc brakes for the 8¼ inch Chrysler rear end. And this is kind of a bummer, but it's what happens in projects. It always happens to me. There's always something they get you on, right? Or neglect to tell you, or oops, I forgot, or whatever. I was well aware that he'd used body flashing tape and Bondo to cover up the bottom of the door, but that didn't really matter because I was going to cut so much off. I was concerned that the subframe be in good condition, which it is. I was aware, you know, that he had a block in the rear. I wasn't aware that he had tack welded the head onto the U-joint strap bolt. So that was $40 extra, and that one I'm pretty ashamed of. He got me on the rear brake line pinched off totally. I did not see that coming. So what I did was I went out. I was gonna go to the junkyard. You have a couple options for disc brake swapping an XJ Cherokee. The popular one that everybody knows about and uses is the ZJ swap. Because most ZJs, as far as I know, I keep hearing that they come with drums, but I've never seen one with drums. I've owned a bunch of them. The next thing that I get after this for a beater will be another ZJ because I don't fit in it. So that's kind of a bummer. But on the ZJ, you have to grind the hole open a little bit more because they only come with the Dana 44 and 35 rear axles. So I guess the tube's a little bit bigger. These are off of a KJ, a Liberty. That's my mail truck. It's not in great shape, but she's bringing lots of Driveway Engineer parts. Anyway, these are off of a KJ Liberty. And not all Liberties came with rear disc, and I looked at a few that actually had drums. I was gonna go in the junkyard and get it, but I found a guy parting one out, and we went through a long back and forth kind of thing. Because I tried to buy the whole axle from him, and he wanted like $200 for it. And I'm like, look, dude, really, I just want the brakes. He's like, oh, well, you can have the brakes for $40. And I'm like, well, I want all of the brakes. Sneak peek, gotta fix the shift linkage. I told him, I said, I want all the brakes, you know, blah, 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 whatever. Backing plate and everything. So he pulled everything off and sold it to me for $40. So I got the calipers. I'm not going to use this stuff. I'll send it back for my core. But it's good to have, you know, I got the banjo bolts and everything. So that's pretty cool. So I got everything from the backing plates out on a Jeep Liberty. I bought ZJ brake hoses because you can't run hardline all the way out to disc because they slide around. So I bought brake hoses for a ZJ to go from the block or from the hardline in. Most people just like bend their hardline out of the way, which is what you can do if somebody hasn't tack welded your hardline shut. But I've actually purchased some nickel copper line, and I'll just make new lines from that block. I actually bought a YJ soft line because with my lift in the rear, I might be able to overextend that, but I'm not 100% confident I'm going to be able to undo it from the top. So we'll see if that goes on. As you can see, I've had it soaking in some PB Blaster. Anyway, ZJ soft lines. All these parts will be in the description because I'm rambling too much. ZJ soft lines, and they will bolt straight to the calipers. And also, if you're a regular viewer and you watch the junkyard videos, I have a proportioning valve here from a ZJ with disc. This is from a Jeep ZJ with rear disc brakes, and I got the end cap too and the spring, all that. We'll go into the all that will go into the prop valve from the XJ, and then I won't have to mess with the brake bias or anything else. So that's a long rambling overview. I have it up in the air. I'm gonna get it tore apart. I think that the one thing that might freak people out, what freaks me out are disc brakes. I'm not ashamed to admit I'm not good at all this stuff. It's like black magic voodoo to me. And I think it's proof that aliens interfered in humans' development as a species, that we came up with all this nonsense before we came up with a caliper that squishes. It's way more complicated. But I priced everything out, and to like replace all of this, wheel cylinders and everything, is going to be like $160. And I have like 210 into the rear disc. But anyway, what's going to freak people out is you have to take that diff cover off and pull the C-clips, which is not hard. You don't mess with the ring and pinion. It's real easy. You just pull those bolts, pry the cover off, let all the stinky oil out. It's a good opportunity to change it anyway. This thing's clearly been rolled hard and put away wet. So I'd really like to see what's in there. Hopefully I don't see anything. If I were keeping this Jeep at this time, I'd put a locker in the back, but this is for my niece, and she doesn't need to deal with all that clanging and banging that goes with a locker. She doesn't care. But yeah, I'll show you how to do that. It's much easier than you think. What I had to the one thing that's gonna hold me up, maybe they might be here now. I had to change ZJ to ZJ Grand Cherokee front studs. These are not long enough to pass through the brake rotor, according to my research. So I'll have to pound these out, pound ZJ ones in. I have them. They're on the way. Dorman 610449, I believe. Verify that. Look in the description. I'll have the link. This should be a pretty straightforward upgrade. Unfortunately, I slept until noon today because I was up playing video games and watching The Expanse all night long on my new sweet TV. But yeah, it's like 60 degrees outside, so I really want to get as much of this done as I can. I will bring you back when I have that cover off and show you how, because this whole assembly just pulls off. There's 4 bolts back there. Once I get these off, this whole thing pulls off and can go in the trash. So I'll pull that cover and bring you guys back to show you how to pull the C-clips. For anybody that's a little apprehensive about it, it's not as bad as it sounds. And we'll be back. Alright, so it's only been like literally 10 minutes. The only thing that sucks is you kind of got to play the truffle shuffle and climb out. I wait for all these hillbillies to drive by. It's quitting time at the old plant. Everybody shortcuts through my neighborhood. So the thing that sucks is you have to put it in neutral to rotate it around. There's this little bolt that holds this cross pin in place. So you have to put it in neutral to be able to rotate the drive shaft to get to it. Then you have to put it in park to lock it so you can spin it out. And then you have to put it in neutral to spin it so you can pull the C-clips out. But of course, it's obscenely tight. Why wouldn't it be? So I'm doing it on camera. Hold on a second. The spec on these bolts is like 22 inch-pounds or something. But they're always super mega tight when I find them. That's how my life goes. And somebody's been in here before too, because the whole thing's covered in gray RTV, which is fine with me. I meant my fluid wasn't entirely disgusting. I guess the last guy must have decided to do it right the first time or something in between all the other shenanigans he was doing. Who knows? Anyway, I'm going to cut the camera off real quick, and I'll bring you back when I have this rotated down and take the C-clips out. So I'll go ahead and rotate these so that the top and bottom spider gears come out, which makes it a little easier to work with. At that point, At that point, all you have to do is push the axle in and the C-clip will basically fall out. And then you're done. And if you were installing a Spartan locker or whatever kind you like, power tracks, pulling these side gears, you just assemble it inside this case. So that's it. Let me sit up here on my bucket. So from here, all I have to do is pull these bolts, and this whole backing plate comes off, and I'm ready to reassemble after I change these studs. Pretty straightforward. It's a good time to change your axle seal if you want to. It looks like I should. So yeah, I'll bring you back. Alright, so it's not quite in this shot. I don't know what to tell you. It's just this thing on the end of this block. And it's not the same size as the one I took off the ZJ. Go figure. So I sincerely hope it works. There is a spring in there, so be aware of that and be mindful. Don't let it fly out like that. I guess it doesn't really matter. So you pull this guy out, and then this is a stack up going in. You see that this is a different color. I don't know if you need the spring, but I took the spring, and I also took an extra. And we'll tighten it down. By the way, the ZJ one is 19mm thread on the outside, but the XJ one was 21. I don't know, I used the 7/8 and it wasn't quite right, but I think you probably have to bleed this. But for now, I'm just gonna go ahead and cap it. And I'm told that if you use the XJ cap, it won't work. So this is the ZJ cap. That pretty much wraps that part up. I might have to come back and bleed that. If I do, I'll be sure to put it in the video. Alright, so progress has been made. Everything's installed. This is a ZJ hose, and what I did was I drilled out the little hole. You can see there. I drilled out that hole big enough to fit over the U-joint to hold it. You gotta have some slack in this hose so that the caliper can slide in and out. And then I'll have to run a new line from there down to the block when the YJ block gets here. On the other side, I haven't finished. So these are 3/8 by 24, I think, thread, 1.5 inches long. I bought a bag of 8 that came with 7. I know better, I should have counted, somebody popped one out. There's a plane like 50 feet over my head here. I'll do the same thing on this side, drill that hole out to pop this on. It took me about an hour of fussing around to figure out how to do that. how I wanted to do it exactly. But then it goes bracket. I got new of those things. Bracket, then dust shield. Everything's painted. I put new seals on, blew that out. Reassembly is pretty straightforward. You just slide your axle shaft in, and all that stuff's like a 3D puzzle, which, you know, kind of sucks, but it is what it is. Yeah, rotate it around and rotate it around to get it back in there. It's just fiddly little labor. I think I probably screwed up by putting the other side in before I had the C-clip in. I got ahead of myself, but whatever. It is what it is. I'll take it apart if I have to and do it again. So we'll be back.